Today we have a talk for GET Evaluators, evaluating exploration and transformation. But before we proceed with our event for today, let's start with Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. All right. So before we go to the main event of today, where we will get a briefing on the evaluation of exploration and transformation grant, I would like to invite Prof. Ahmad Fazil to give the welcoming remark. Prof, you have the mic.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning, distinguished colleagues, our respected speaker and trainer, Prof. Datuk Dr. Bakar from UITM and fellow RMC member. It is indeed my pleasure to warmly welcome all of you to this workshop for University Internal Evaluators of MOHI's newest grant scheme, namely the Grant Penyelidikan Eksploratory dan Transformatif, GET. Thank you so much for taking your time to be here and for your commitment to strengthen our national research ecosystem. As evaluator, each one of us plays a pivotal role in shaping the direction and quality of research in our country, Malaysia. Our assessment not only guide funding decision, but inshallah also to uphold the principle of excellent integrity and impact that our research community strive to achieve. This workshop is designed to equip all of us with a clear understanding of the evaluation framework, the criteria and best practices, ensuring consistency, fairness, as well as transparency throughout the review process. We are also very privileged to benefit from the insight, suggestions, and recommendations of Prof. Datuk Bakar, whose experience will certainly enrich our discussion. This morning, coming to afternoon, we are indeed honored to have with us Prof. Datuk, who is one of the leader of the GET task force, who will guide us through the details of the scheme and share valuable insight to support the evaluation process. I do encourage everyone to actively engage, do ask questions, share your perspective, and certainly hope to learn from one another throughout this session. I am indeed confident that with your expertise and dedication, we will continue to enhance the quality and competitiveness of our research output at both national and international level. Thank you once again for your presence and commitment. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Idul Fitri Mubarak to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for your welcoming speech. Before we proceed with the main event, let me give a brief info on the speaker. Prof. Datuk Abu Bakar Abdul Majid is a registered pharmacist with the Board of Pharmacy Malaysia. He is in his third stint as the board's executive council member from 2024 until 2027 after his previous appointment. Prof. Bakar has a Bachelor of Pharmacy degree from Al Zaghazik University, Egypt, PhD in Neurophysiology from Sheffield University, United Kingdom, and a Master's in Business Administration from University Science Malaysia, Penang. In 1992 until 1993, Prof. Abu Bakar was a visiting scientist at Laboratory for Neural Information Processing, Brain Research Institute, Riken, Japan. In 2002, he became the Dean of the Faculty of Pharmacy, University Technology Mara, Between 2009 2014, he was the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Research and then the AVC for Medical and Dental Campus. Prof. Abu Bakar became the rector of UiTM Selangor in 2017. He was made the director for Research Management Center at UiTM from 2021 until 2022. In August 2022, he returned as the Dean of the Faculty of Pharmacy, UiTM. He has also been a member of Board of Governors, IMU University and IMU College, Kuala Lumpur since 2019, and Board of Director, UiTM Holdings in Berhad since 2024. At the national level, Prof. Abu Bakar is Head Clinical and Health Cluster, Research Grant Scheme, RGS, and a member Task Force for High Impact Center of Excellence, High COE of the Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia. He is also a founding member of National Bioethics Council under Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, becoming its chairman between 2016 to 2018. As an avid writer of science and technology, Prof. Abu Bakar has written and edited over 20 academic books, more than 100 research articles in respectable journals. His research interests are Alzheimer's disease, drug delivery to the brain, and bioethics. Prof. Abu Bakar is a winner of the 2023 Helen Clark Joe PPP Award for Pharmaceutical Policy and Practice Research based on the scientific merit of his work, as well as the impact of his work on patients, decision makers, and governments. So now we can proceed with the main event, with the briefing. Dato Abu Bakar, how would you like to go about the questionnaires? I mean, do you want it to be in the middle of your talk, or do you want it to be at the end of your talk?
I think participants can interject anytime they want with questions, no problem.
All right, okay. So
Okay.
if you have any questions, you can open your mic and straight away give your questions. Or if you want to put it in the chat box, then I will read the questions for Dato. Okay, so Dato, I think we can proceed. You have the mic.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, MC. I'm sorry, I'm not sure who is speaking, tapi anyway, yang berusaha Profesor Ahmad Fadil, pengarah RMC, UIAM, and to all those at RMC and also to all participants of this morning's talk. Yeah. So, Alhamdulillah, thank you for inviting me to share what we are going to do in terms of assessing. First, you will have to do it at your IPT level, and then we will have to do it at the ministry level. So as usual, there'll be two level of assessment. Yeah? We'll discuss GET. This is the new grant that has come about in place of our much beloved FRGS, which we have been very accustomed to for the last 20 years. So this one GET is probably a spin-off of FRGS. So for this talk, I think I will focus on three areas, or I'll do three phases. First, we look at the grant itself generally, because I know you all have gone through the briefing on the grant. So just touching on things that you probably to take note while you are assessing the proposal now. Secondly, we'll go into the assessment itself, looking at the how you'll be scoring the proposals of the different sections and with different weightages, right? And then finally, those who have time, we'll just go through the similarities and differences between FRGS and GET, so that we have an idea while we're assessing. We have done FRGS assessment, I'm sure, maybe application also in the past many times. So just to make sure that we are on the right track when we do GET. Okay, thank you very much. Next slide, please. The title is interesting, yeah. Thank you, RMC, for selecting this title. Can we move the slide now? Thank you. Okay, if you look at the...
Share screen tak?
Sorry?
Is it move to second slide? Because I
Yes.
already clicked. Okay.
I can do it from here.
You can, but Dato, you have to share it from you. Do you want me to stop sharing?
No, I think just go ahead sharing.
Okay.
But you can do this
Okay.
slideshow, yeah?
Okay, yeah. It is
Okay.
already slideshow.
Okay. Okay, we go back to the previous slide, please. So if you look at the Higher Education Planning Malaysia, something called Rancangan Rancangan Pendidikan Tinggi Malaysia, which was launched by the minister earlier this year, and this is to cover from year 2026 to year 2035 in place of the previous strategic plan 2015 to 2025. Two main features of this plan are, first, whatever we do, we have to do it in a bold manner, and secondly, in a radical manner. So bold and radical are two words you find mentioned in this plan, and these two words also taken from our 13th Malaysia Plan document. Government expects us to do something bold and something radical, hopefully not what we say business as usual. So again, the same principles or the same words or the same spirit is captured in our GET. Yeah? Next slide, please. Boleh kita move slide, please?
Kejap, Dato.
Okay. So referring to the 13th Malaysia Plan, I think is crucial because this grand GET now is happening during the 13th Malaysia Plan. I hope you all try to get the slides moving, but I will just say a few things here. So 13th Malaysia Plan is from 2026 to 2030, and we are very much into the beginning of this plan, yeah? Okay, if you cannot do slideshow, we'll just do it this format, okay. Okay. So, if you are aware, recently there was a report by Auditor General Malaysia. One of the reports, actually, they went to KPT to do an audit of grants that were given to KPT over many years ago. And one of the findings, if you were following the proceedings of the Parliament 2 weeks ago, was that there was a bit of inefficiency, they said, with regard to usage of grant. When grants have been distributed to universities, it seems that quite a big chunk remain unused, meaning we know, we as researchers, sometimes we applied for an amount, but when we actually conduct the project, we do not need to use all that money. So after so many years, the accumulated amount of research grants not used in universities was about 2.3 billion from the findings of the AG office. So what happened, different universities have different amount of money still retained at the university after projects have been concluded. So the feeling is that we have not been efficient in our usage of research grant. So for this grants moving forward by KPT, and probably that was the reason why for KPT this year, the amount of money given for research is only 100 million ringgit. And this is quite unlike previous years where we were getting about at least 300, 400 million every year. But never mind, that is one story. In any case, because of the findings of the AG, the ministry is trying to show more impact of research being funded to our researchers at the universities. So the features of MOHE research grants beginning 2026 will be, number one is that we should continue coming up with new knowledge. And that's why the ministry is trying to retain that fundamental scope like they have been, doing over the last 20 years. For fundamental, we still go to KPT. So KPT is still working on us producing new knowledge from our research. But this time around, they're saying that it's made by Malaysia concept, originally created in this country. And second feature is that whatever our findings are should be able to transform the Malaysian community, processes, economy, and so on. There must be more direct impact on the economy, especially, and the community. And thirdly, the feature of our research should be able to enhance the intellectuality of the community. Means whatever our findings are, we should translate into the community and hopefully try to advance on their knowledge. So when you're, again, doing the assessment, see whether the proposals would have some, objectives or some move towards achieving some of these features, or fulfilling some of these features. Next slide, please. Boleh kita move to the next slide? So again, these are the features of grants under MOHI. And the key objectives of our grants given by MOHI after this, we have to work along commercialization. Of course, this we know, been spoken many times previously. We have to move into commercialization. Secondly, the impact of the research should be visible. And there is a phrase normally used that is moving the needle, meaning our research actually matters, change something or to introduce something new. And thirdly, we should continue developing human capital through our research grants or research projects. Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. These are the key objectives of general grants by KPT, because KPT hopes to introduce 2 more grants after GET. So there'll be 3 grants this year under KPT. For GET, or Exploratory and Transformative Grant, GET, the objectives are basically to enrich human capital in specific areas. So we're still working on the GRA or RA. Second, we must use this capacity or this opportunity to enhance our competitiveness global. So again, that's why in the project you see there is a need to do patent search to see where we are, and hopefully we can come up with something that can, compete. Our findings, our research team can compete with the international research teams. And also the objective is to narrow the gap between research and commercialization, or I call it productization. And finally, this is an additional objective, especially for GET, is to promote a healthy mentoring culture. You will see that for GET, there is a need to have a professor as a mentor in the group. Yeah. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, for GET, there are two different types of grant now. One is called exploratory research, and this is for knowledge discovery as usual, and basically to understand the question of what, how, and why as per FRGS, but they've added what question now to the exploratory research component. The expected TRI level upon completion is just 1 or 2, not so high. And thirdly is that this is just an attempt to explore something that the applicant has thought about. The applicant is trying to just explore and see whether what they have in mind could be put into perspective with some findings and some facts. The approach can be flexible and open, meaning there's no probably rigid method. They can introduce whatever method that they want to use. And when you're assessing again, see the nature of this approach. Has to be logical, but can be quite, I would say, non-conventional. Yeah? And the output can be hypothesis, can be new knowledge or basic understanding. And for social science-based, should be mostly a policy or conceptual framework. Next slide, please. The other grant, which is transformative research grant, this grant should be something that will produce a radical change, meaning that it can be the way we do things, the way we look at things, or the new product or something, approach or methodology. But it should be able something that once completed, the project is completed, that will be adopted by future researchers in doing things along the same line. So it's quite disruptive actually. And the TRL level is expected to be at least 2 or 3. And it can be in the form of proof of concept, validation, or policy enhancement. And it has to be impactful and results oriented. So we have to identify who the benefit is going to be, especially on the policy, for example. And question can be in terms of what need to be changed, how to modify things, how to assess objectively a process previously lacked clarity in terms of measurement, process, or policy. And the output can be an innovation which we refer to as quite radical. It can be a proof of concept or policy change and improvement. So have an idea of the differences between the objectives of these two grants or the scope of these two grants, so that as you're assessing, you know how to differentiate these two. Next slide, please. Just as a reminder, if you just a refresh of the TRL level, so for exploratory research, we are looking at TRL 1 or 2, just basically basic method principles, observe and disseminated, and or it's a method concept, formulated new method or early method development. For transformative, it can go up to experimental proof of concept, that is TRL 3. Okay, next slide, please. For social science, they also have developed the equivalent of TRL, but basically these two projects can cover the level of conceptualization. Just at that level will be sufficient, because it covers TRL 1 to 3. And then for social sciences, we can have later to other grants from KPT will go to TRL 4 to 6 and 7. That will include validation and implementation. So for social science, look out for this TRL that the applicants declare for you to understand or to accept that the proposal is relevant to GET. Next slide, please. So in terms of research priority areas, these are the things that normally applicants will write in the research background. So see if they have managed to include some of these things in their write-up, to show that they are very much aware of what's happening in the country, what the government policies are, because to get the grant being funded by the government, so you would expect to contribute to achieving some of the targets set by the government. And some of the documents that they can refer to, or they should have referred to, would be, for example, the Rancangan Pendidikan Tinggi Malaysia, or RPTM, the Malaysian Higher Education Plan, or any other research policies document already produced by MOHE. And then they can also refer to SDG, Global Impact, the 17 SDG plus one for Malaysia is called racial harmony or something. But the 17 under United Nations, they can refer to this one of the 17s or more than one. And then for economic drivers, they can look at the 17 Madani's shifts, and also the previously, as we all still working on, the 10 on 10 MySTIE. There are now niche areas which are referred to as excellence niche, and there are 9, and they are referred to as BTARA. Then they can also refer to the 13th Malaysia Plan mega trends. I'll show you what these trends are. And again, the research must fall under one of 7 clusters of fundamental areas of research. So all this, hopefully they will they would have put up in their research background. I'm not sure whether it's closed at UIA, the proposal, the submission, or still open.
It is already closed, Prof.
Already closed. So I guess you would see whether they have referred to some of these documents or not. Not to say that they should include all documents, but at least they refer to one or two or three of these documents, shows that they are very much aware of what's happening in the country and what the expectations of the funding agency are. Next slide. Okay, just to recap, BITARA, I'll mention just a few of the BITARA 9. So 7 are here. Anything that they refer to BITARA and falls under this category of E&E, aerospace, chemicals, machinery and equipment, digital ICT, pharmaceuticals and medical devices, so considered to be of high priority in government's preferences. Next slide, please. The next slide will show us the so-called, these are the purpose of this BITARA, basically for industry demand-driven projects. The initiatives are mapped against current and future industry demand. So if they can show this, it means that the traction for their proposal is stronger. High impact research, for example, through this GET scheme and also the skill enhancement in terms of training of the GRA. Next slide, please. So for the mega trends, actually the government has put up 4 mega trends. First is economic structure changes, second, technology and digital transformation, then demography and quality of life, and fourth is planetary health crisis. So hopefully your applicants have mentioned one or more of these. And then KPT has added 3 more mega trends, namely education, national security, and heritage and local knowledge. So hopefully they have referred to some of these mega trends to show again that their projects are relevant, meeting the aspirations of these mega trends. For example, if we come from the health sector, then quality of life is something that we can say that our project is going to impact on the mega trends of quality of life. Planetary health is so wide. Anything that affects the planet, which means that affect the people of the planet, the animals of the planet, the plants of the planet, and the planet itself in terms of the hardcore planet, like the rocks and the mountains and the environment and so on. So if they had referred to some of this, meaning they are again aware of the mega trends stipulated in the 13th Malaysia Plan. Next slide, please. So for clusters, as usual, they should have identified one of these clusters. You all are familiar with FRGS. They are still there, the clusters. Next slide, please. So these are some of the conditions. Actually, RMC would have done this to check whether they are eligible to apply, because there are some conditions set for those who can apply. Next slide, please. And as you are assessing also, you probably can, just check whether these are met. Applications can come from both Malaysians and non-Malaysian, no problem. They can be active or full-time, or they can also be on contract, and can come from all grades, from junior lecturer right up to professor, any level of lecturers. But importantly, for those on contract, there should be at least a minimum of 2 years left in service. And this, I think, is quite a difficult thing for our expatriates, because nowadays they probably get only 2-year contract, and that almost automatically disqualify them from applying. But what I can suggest is that they have to work with our local or those with longer contract and make them the PI, and you can become one of the researchers, co-researchers in the team. So if your contract does not last beyond 29th of February 2028, you're quite ineligible to apply. So of course, there's no issues of integrity, debt, or bankruptcy. And if you're leaving UIA for more than, or for 6 months or more, then you cannot apply. For example, going on sabbatical or something else. You have to be home, at the institution during the implementation of the work. And for GET or equivalent, you should not have obtained this grant 3 times in a row in the past or throughout your service. Next slide, please. Okay, for the research teams, some of the conditions that maximum 5 co-researchers, including next appointed leader and the mentor. So you can be the PI plus the 5 co-researchers, yeah. And for the mentor, it has to be a person with the title of professor, yeah, and in the same area, and the professor can come from either UIA or outside UIA. For this time, GET now requires that you have an industry partner or collaborator. They should show their partner through a letter of intent, for example, or a letter of agreement, LOA. And for null, or next appointed leader, has to be a working full-time in the same area of expertise and from the same university. So these are the requirements, yeah, for the research team. Next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, these are the mandatory requirements in the application, and you can look at these. If they have these requirements, then you can go ahead and assess them. Otherwise, I think there's no point in doing it. For example, there is an industry or agency collaboration with evidence or document. Industry will be, of course, the registered companies. For agency, can be another government agency, another research institute outside KPT or similar in nature. Patent search must be conducted and documented as usual. There should be a brief narrative of the patent search. And then the risk assessment is important for them to have, they should have done the risk assessment from time, technical and also financial perspectives. And they should do that diligently. I think if they come up with the findings that all the risks are low, I think it's quite debatable or quite illogical. They should have, normally risk can be medium or even high risk. But importantly, if they put the risk, although high, they have ways to mitigate the risk or avoid the risk, then that should be considered as good proposal. Yeah? And then, of course, as you're going through, you must see that whatever requirements of the Malaysian Code of Responsible Conduct in Research, these are all embedded in the proposal. And if they had or they have had a research grant previously, should have been completed 100%, okay? And KPI achieved, of course. The advice is that if you or the applicant had submitted to a PRJS previously and already successfully secured the grant, so please do not come to GET for additional funding or to continue from that proposal. Basically, they will not jive, basically, PRJS and GET. Yeah? PRJS is very advanced, while GET is very early in the development. Next slide, please. Okay, just for basic things that you should remember, ceiling is 250,000 per project. They can still go for a maximum of 3 years, and they can only apply for one application per phase, one grant only, either exploratory or transformative. This, I think, will be done by RMC also. Next slide, please. Okay, the expected outputs from GET. Number one, you have to make sure that when they put up the objectives, which as usual, the objectives have to be smart, then when they've completed and when they deliver the results, they should try to relate the results to the objectives of the research. So there must be a logical matching or mapping of these objectives and also the output. IP, now it is a must to file an IP, especially to file a patent. It is found that, especially for SNT, this is not impossible, because if you have a 3-year grant, you can already plan to write or submit the file in the 2nd year or towards the beginning of the 3rd year. You should have found something new for you to write for patent filing. Can be a methodology or probably product. So the idea is to train researchers to have belief in them that the work that they've done is able to push right up to the patent stage, and then they can move from then onwards. Publication is still required, can be index journals, or can be also, if you get you can target for competitive awards. And then talent is still can train GRA, or now GET also allows you to employ just RA or research assistant. But we'll come to the discussion later why you can do away with not having GRA or not having publication for this grant. Policy impact for mostly social science work, either come up with policy guidelines or white papers, for example. And for scientific knowledge, new theories, models, and technologies are still expected, and the beneficiaries are the usual quintuple helix. So all this hopefully can be explained in their proposal. The applicants, they explain how their proposals or outputs can impact all these targets of the ministry. Next slide, please.
Dato',
Yes.
Dato',
Yeah.
one question. For 3 years funding, can they take 2 master students instead of 1 PhD student?
Actually, they can. If they budget for that and approve, they can. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dato'.
Okay.
And then another question is patent must or copyright? Okay.
Itulah, for the time being, it's still patent. I know it's going to be a bit difficult for social scientists, kan? But somehow they have to come up with a way to write a patent at the end of their project, to be safe lah. If they put up a copyright, I think it's not going to be of top priority, the proposal. So when you're assessing, I think you have to look out for the patent to be safe lah. The promise to file a patent.
Copyright. All right. And then Prof. Helal wanted to know regarding the team member, is it compulsory to get 1 member from the industry, or only LOI will be enough?
LOI is enough. The industry player does not have to be in the research team.
Okay, all right.
But
how much?
That is not a requirement, but
Dato'?
if you think the industry partner can play a big role in the research, it's okay to include them, no problem. But if you have limited, we have now 1 PI plus 5 co, you don't have any more space for the industry partner, you just don't have to put the partner in the team.
Okay. How much to estimate cost for IP application, Dato'?
For IP, I think you can put like maybe 15,000, under vote 29,000 nanti.
All right.
Okay.
And then another question, minimum number of publications required, Dato'?
We'll talk about that under ROV ni. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay. And
Okay.
question for regarding the team member, is it mandatory to have a professor in the team?
Yes, the professor has to be your mentor. again, if you have lesser than like associate professor, then I think the strength of the proposal will be lesser. To be safe, get a professor in your area, in that area of your proposal. It can be from UIA or from outside UIA. Can be from Malaysia or can be from overseas. Get somebody in that area.
What about VK7 without the title of professor?
No,
Is it no?
no, that's not considered. Has to be a professor title.
Okay.
And actually, if you have like emeritus, it's still acceptable, or honorary professor, they are acceptable.
See. Okay. And then another question: can mentor and next appointed leader be the same person?
I think yes, they can, but preferably avoid that. Because we are trying to train a younger person, right? So as much as you can, avoid naming your mentor as your next appointed leader.
Okay. All right, that's all from the chat box.
Okay, thank you. So now, when I talk about ROV, now you will see that KPT's grant, they're going to focus on ROV, not so much on ROI. ROI is quite straightforward. How much money you put in, then how much money we get back. We just, our income over our investment, that will give us the ROI. The revenue over investment give you ROI, straightforward. But return on value, ROV, is a bit more, I would say, tedious to compile or to compute, but we can do estimate right now because we're just starting. I think we can do an estimation. Yeah. So, for example, if I think RMC would probably have gotten this list of how to score in terms of value, the output that we produce or expected to produce in the research. A very simple one, for example, if you produce a PhD graduate, I think the value put to this graduate is about 100,000, I think, 100,000, right? And if you have a patent file, it's 120,000. If you have a paper, then it's Q1, Q2, 20,000. Lesser paper, 10,000. So with this, you can, when you're assessing again, you will kind of see how much they're applying. Let's say they're applying 200,000. But when you sum up the ROV from their projects, then you see if it is more than, one, meaning more than 200,000, it's considered to be good ROV. So we're expecting at least that ROV equals 1. So the question whether it is required to have a postgraduate or not, a GRE or not, basically the answer is no. If you can, come up with a return on other, for example, the patent, on the paper, on the papers or on the GRE. So it depends. The combination of your output, if the combination can reach to 200,000 or more, then actually you have accomplished your the purpose of this grant. But my advice is to look at all the output expected. That is GRA, because one of the objectives of this grant is to train human capital. Second, papers, new knowledge created, also an objective of this grant. And then the usual IP. IP is the mandatory requirement. So at least you have those three as output. I think the proposal will be safer than to have less than those three as your output. So the strategy is to look at proposals that can promise, this minimum of these 3 or 4 rather than just 1 or 2. And for example, if they say they can file 2 patents, basically that is already 240,000 and beyond the investment or the funding, and that is already meeting the ROV. But having only one output, I think, compared to another project that can give 3 outputs, so probably in terms of ranking, the one giving lower or less output would be ranked lesser. So I hope you all got the idea about ROV now. You have the idea of ROV. Basically, the applicants must have shown the return commensurates the grant provided, the initial funding. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, just mention because in this grant GET, there are several players, the applicants and then the mentor, then RMC, the university, and several other players, assessors also like yourself. But I'm just going to focus on the industry player, what role they can play as promised and also written in the proposal. Next slide, please. Okay, just look at the question, Dr. Azni, Dr. Mazni. Just let's see.
Yes, Dato. Dr. Mazni asked, I applied for a transformative and the project requires cloud, but it will last in 2 years. Is it okay? The development service will include this cloud costing and will be parked in both 29,000. Is it okay?
If you're doing work requiring cloud, so you can ask for if you're renting or something, you can ask for, yes, for the cost under vote 20,000. But this project must show very strong need for the cloud. Yeah. You must have a very strong reason why you need to use the cloud rather than the other conventional method, conventional way. So if you can justify that you need the cloud, then you can, yes, actually budget it under vote 29,000. All right, thank you. Okay, now we're talking about the role of our industry partner, basically what they can do. This industry partner actually is not required to provide financial commitment, but they can do other things. They can provide in kind. For example, they can provide you with data or place of research, lab, for example, or even doing testing. So they can come in any forms of assistance. They can also provide you with the problem that they want you to solve. And also, for example, advice or even place to validate your findings. So the industry partner, the applicants should mention the role of these partners in what form, that will give us an idea of how the partner can help run the project and also the partner can benefit from the project. Okay, next slide, please.
Dato,
Now we come to the
there's
second
one.
part. Yeah, sorry.
There's one.
Okay, hold on.
What if we included agency collaborator in the research team?
As I mentioned, that is possible if you think that collaborator will be required to play a big role in the research. I mean, really getting their hands dirty in the research, I think you can justify for that and they can become your co-researcher, no problem. But if they play a rather passive role, then they can be just your industry partner. That's fine. It depends on how much commitment you think you would require from them. You can include them in your team. Yeah. Dr. Roslina, yeah? Okay, now we come to the second part of this discussion or talk, and we're going to look at the evaluation process. Next slide, please. This is what you're doing or you're going to do now. And I must thank you all for volunteering to help UIA do this level of evaluation. Assessment will be 2 levels I mentioned earlier. One is at the internal level, the university. Second will be at the ministry's level. Yeah? But what is important is that at the university level, it must be done correctly and according to the requirements and procedure, because otherwise we're still going to do the auditing of how you conducted the assessment at the university level. And if there's any mistake, any wrongdoing or not following the guidelines at the at university level, again, the same concept of rejection of the total the rejection lock, stock, and barrel of all the applications will happen. So RMC is going to be very careful on this, and also assessors have to play their part very carefully. My wish is that RMC UIA will allow applicants to be able to modify their research proposal a few times. I know time is limited, but if there can be a bit of discussion back and forth between the assessor and the applicant, that would help to improve the proposal. That would be better. But again, understanding the time constraint, maybe can be only one time. But I think the more you can do it, the better the quality of the proposal will be. Before that, previous slide, please. Be a bit more. The previous slide, please. Boleh, yes. Okay. Yes. So at your level, you have to put up a recommendation, whether highly recommended or just recommended. Otherwise, it's not supported. So you have to decide which one, which category they fall in, because only the recommended and highly recommended will be sent to the ministry for further evaluation. Okay, next slide, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Dato'.
Yes.
My name is Dr. Ridwan Fontaine. I've been given the task to evaluate one grant, and in that grant, they apply for copyright, not for patent. So I assume I just I cannot recommend, right?
This is a social science project or SNT project?
This is social science.
Okay. I'm not sure. We have to check with RMC whether they're going to allow social science project that promises only copyright to go through. But I think you can still evaluate and then put a caveat there that seems that the proposal does not meet the requirement for an IP to register. Because we have had some discussion at the ministry with regard to social science proposals that we understand almost not easy to get an IP. So just put the caveat there, but you can still assess. And if you think it's highly recommended, you can put that highly recommended. The only thing is that it promises copyright. And RMC will have to decide whether for social science proposal, a copyright will be sufficient to send to KPT. Is that okay, Dr. Ridwan? Dr. Ridwan, is that okay?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you, Prof.
Okay. I think go ahead because the applicant has submitted. So just do the assessment. Okay. All right. First thing to look at when you are assessing whether the grant is under exploratory or transformative. They have to identify which one. And that will set the scene for you to go through the proposal. If it is exploratory, you're expecting something which probably has not been done before, something, if you Google, you don't find too many, output from your search. And it's something in your mind also you have not heard so much done previously. But if it's transformative, then it's something that may already been done, but they are doing something which will change the way people do things, for example. Something which is going to be different. It's going to impact the way we do things or the way we understand things. So they should identify this, and then you go on assessing based on their categorization of the grant, whether exploratory or transformative. Next slide, please. So under the evaluation, these are the categories that we're going to look at with the weightages. Number one is the title and keywords. For GET, see that we're now requesting for keywords. Previously under FRGS, we only want to know the title. And the keywords, I think, have to be thought out very clearly, because if my thinking is that these keywords, maybe one or two can come from the words already in the title, but they should also be words which are not in the title. And these words are the words that can probably attract a reader to the proposal, to reading the proposal further. And then the executive summary, as usual, we still need those 5 items, which are problem statement, objectives, methodology, expected outcome, and then the impact of the outcome, the significance of the outcome or output. And again, here, probably they have to, or you have to see whether the project is bold and radical. This is where they should try to impress you that the project is really different, radical. Yeah. So you really look at the abstract or summary carefully to find these 2 features in the proposal. 1 or 2 is okay, whether it's bold or radical or both bold and radical. And then the research background, yes, this is where they try to relate to the policies, the documents that we mentioned earlier, see if they could do that. So if they have done it, meaning they are aware of the expectation of the funding agencies. And as usual, they should have the latest references. I guess much of the literature review would also be contained in the research background. And then we look at the objectives as usual, smart and in line with policies again, by referring to documents. So objective 10%. Methodology carries the big chunk, 20%. And in the methodology, they should also include the patent search description, explanation, and also the risk assessment they've done, and hopefully some mitigation plans that they have to reduce the risk. On the results can be IP, HR, human resource, or papers, and also a mention of the ROV, and this will contribute 20% of the scoring for them. The ROV again, with some kind of estimate of the amount that they're asking for and the amount that they expect to come up from the project, yeah, when completed. Okay. And then the team is important. They want to see the collaborative nature. That's why it's important to have the mentor there, clearly spelled out to show that the mentor is relevant in the field of study, in the field of work that they're going to do. And also if there's a mention of the partners, external partners, including the industry partners, would be good. And finally, the strength of the industry partner in terms of previous collaboration or previous work, probably shown through an MOU or MOA. But if the industry partner is new, then the LOI or LOA should be sufficient. But the industry partner, again, maybe there's some, hopefully in the LOI, there's also a mention of how they can benefit from this work, not simply just saying that they are interested to work, but if they show how the findings will be relevant to their, core business, for example, that would, you can score this application higher. With regard to the question on weightage on the executive summary, we should summarize the proposal. The weightage is 10%. Yes, okay. All right, next slide, please. So this will be the form that you have in your hand for you to evaluate. So going quickly through the form, yeah. On the title and keywords, again, you're familiar with the FRGS title, how they frame the title should reflect the whole study. I would suggest a title which is concise is better. And on the keywords I mentioned earlier, my preference is that keywords should not be all from the title. Title is there so people can understand from the title what the work is all about. But more importantly, keywords are those which represent the project, represent are the pillars of the project. If they are good at the smart to represent or give us the 5 titles, I think that will make the project something that you wish to read further. Yeah, and of course they have to identify which research they are applying for. If they do not indicate here, I think it's a cause for technical knockout. Yeah? Okay, next slide, please. For the executive summary, as mentioned earlier, these are the again, bold and radical in essence too should be identified in the summary. Yeah. Next slide, please. For the background, again, as usual stuff, background, including the literature review, and then the citations should be strong citations, quite recent citations, and referring to the government policies and referring to some of the documents that we discussed to show their awareness of what the aspirations of the government are. Yeah? And then hopefully the research background will give a strong foundation as to what the project is going to be on. Yeah? Next slide, please. Item number 4 is the objective. So again, look at the style of the objectives, the achievability of the objectives as usual. Yeah? Clarity. Yeah, I forgot to mention that for this grant GET, we hope to see clarity in the proposal. So that's one word. If you read and something and you find the write-up is so good, concise, short, I would think short sentences, easy for you to read and understand, then that shows clarity. If you, once reading the proposal, you have to, kind of go back and forth and also sometimes repeat reading the same thing many times, then I believe you can suspect that the clarity is not there. So we expect the proposals coming in, they are of enough clarity for us to go through very very quickly and also very easily. Yeah. So clarity, please look at this. And the objective should also try to relate to some of the things that we discussed earlier, the trend, mega trend, the Bitara, Madani, ESG, something. ESG is, by the way, the newer components. It's good for them to include ESG, environment, social, and governance. So if they have not done that, I think documents or proposals that show understanding of some of these documents should get priority, because when we evaluate at KPT, we're going to look at all this. If the applicant is currently on sabbatical leave, which will end towards the end of this year, wow, 9 months. If the applicant, yeah, I think should be allowed, because the project most likely going to be funded in July, and if the sabbatical ends in December, so it's just 6 months away, I think, yeah, you can apply. Yeah, because you are not away for more than 9 months as stipulated in the guidelines. According to the timeline, I think the results will be June or July. Yeah? Okay, now under methodology, so this is where 20% means a lot, and you have to see the nature of the proposal, whether comprehensive or otherwise, whether you could follow the methodology or not. And you know this very well, you are the experts. And then the important thing is that the risk assessment and patent search are included. Patent search, they should discuss the narrative, in the narrative, what they found in the search. From the search, they probably can see that the number of other researchers doing this can be can be high or can be low. So it's a matter of how they argue the point. If too many other people are doing this around the world, so maybe there's no point in getting on the same project. On the other hand, if there are not too many people doing the work, maybe this is where you can, or the applicant can come in. So it depends on how they argue in the narrative based on their search. So I think read carefully and try to decipher what finally, whether what they're doing is going to be novel or going to be exploratory or going to be transformative from the patent search narrative. So the narrative is very important to show that they understand what they have discovered in their search, in the patent search. Next slide, please. Number 6 is next slide, please. The expected outcome or output. And so this is where you look at the impact on the, on the mega trends and how they relate to the mega trends. And then the IP here is mentioned preferably patent. Otherwise, UI, industrial design, copyright, layout. So copyright is mentioned there. So it's still acceptable, but it's of low priority, except for social science project. If you're doing S&T, please don't promise copyright. A book, for example, no, you have to go for patent. But if you're doing social science, then maybe you can get away with promising a copyright. Others accepted are trade secret, layout design. These are all acceptable. But again, number one priority is for filing of a patent. And then there should be a show of calculation of the ROV by the applicants. And then hopefully there is also an indication of where they are going after finishing this project. At least a show of their next move or next plan that will help improve the proposal in terms of scoring. So this is how you try to differentiate between a good proposal and an excellent one, between recommended and highly recommended proposal. Next slide, please. Number 7. This is looking at the nature of the team. It's important. If they had included the local community and also the national level and international level. So this will give some level of scoring indication of how you want to score the team. If international, of course, normally we score higher compared to national level or local level. But it can also try to relate to the impact. Can be at local level, but the impact you estimate to be very strong, very high, so you can give higher marks here. It can be international, but you expect the impact to be very lukewarm or very small impact, then maybe although international, but you need not score very high. So again, both level and also the size or the magnitude of the impact that you have to weigh in giving the marks here. And number 8 is our industry partner. Next slide, please.
Datuk,
Saya.
regarding the sabbatical leave or study leave, any other kind of leave, it's actually 6 months, Datuk, in the guideline.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 6 months. I said 9 months, sorry. 6 months.
Hmm.
6 months or more, kan? So
Yeah,
tadi,
6 months
if
or
you
more.
have, when you come back, you have less than 6 months, until you can apply. But if you have 6 months or more, you cannot apply. Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for that. All right, for the Rakan industry or industry partner, again, to see the strength of the working relationship, yeah, especially if you already have previous working relationship with the partner, that would be strong for you to score higher when you're assessing it. LOI or LOA, MOU, MOA. So MOU, MOA will probably show their previous work or previous collaboration. So that will, like I said, enhance the possibility of coming up with a good output based on the previous experience. Otherwise, the risk is higher if you are working with a new partner. I think this is common sense, yeah? So depends how you're going to score them. But like I said, there are certain things that you can look at the industry. Industry can be a strong company or a weak company, then you can weigh. LOI candidate 6 months ago, I think not acceptable. The date of the LOI should be latest. If they have kind of long standing, then it's okay. Meaning that they show work signed 6 months ago, but they already work conducted. But I think normally LOI is a very early. If they've worked with them 6 months, mungkin maybe they already probably have started on MOU. Yeah. So best is to have LOI which is quite recent, maybe in January, February, or March. Next slide, please. So this is how you score them. Yeah. If you want to recommend, then between 80 to 84, 85, and then for 85 above is highly recommended. So otherwise is not recommended. And remember in the form, sorry, I did not mention, you have to give comments on the score. Why? Brief comment, just brief comment. Can we go back to the previous slide, please? Yeah, if you look at the column on the rightmost column, you have to at least put up a comment, yeah? Why you're scoring, especially if you score very low, less than 50%. Please identify the weaknesses and put in the comment. This is for the proposal, for the applicants to improve their proposals next time, yeah? Don't forget that. Because I'm worried when they review the assessment process at UIA, if they find the forms are empty, nothing there. So again, they may question your the way you do things at UIA at the APT level, and they may not like it. So just put something there, just a few words will do. Why are you giving high marks or why are you giving low marks? That is the best, I think. So assessors, please take time to do that a bit. Okay. Next slide, please. All right, on the budget, there are some variations from the FRGS previously. Just I would like to highlight a few things. Next slide, please. They're saying that overall, the budget, they're trying to reduce on traveling and also on purchasing of assets. So that's why they put a cap on vote 21,000 as maximum of 20% overall. Overall meaning data collection or traveling for conferences, whatever. Just 20% is safe cap. And for asset, instead of 40% previously, now it has been reduced to 30%, just that. Okay, the rest are quite similar to FRGS. And vote 11,000 now, you can actually employ a RA instead of GRA. For example, if your project already has a GRA paid by the government through other grants like MyBrain or through scholarship of other universities, so you don't need GRA, you can employ instead an RA. All the rates are given in the guidelines. Just make sure they follow the grades. And RA, remember, they have to put in the SOCSOP and also the EPF on top of the salary. For GRA, they don't need to, just ballpark sum for the salary. Can we hire both GRA and RA together? I think it's mentioned pelantikan serentak tidak dibenarkan. So just one. Okay. All right. Thank you. Next slide, please. If you're working with international, I did not say the LOI with international partner, but I say it can include international partner. But if you have to collect data internationally, I think in terms of budget, traveling budget, you have to be careful. If you're going overseas to collect data, I think assessors will look at it as not so high priority, because your money will spend much on collecting data overseas. Collecting data local is quite acceptable. Overseas, we expect you to go, for example, attend conference and things like that. So I think can have international partner, but I think data hopefully can be generated locally. Okay, Dr. Mazni. All right, for the budget, you just fill out this form. And if you need to, give some comments on the budget that you're proposing. For example, they ask for a certain amount, but you're reducing. So just put comment there why you're reducing the amount. If they put too little, you want to increase, so you just explain why you need, or you're giving them more money than they ask for. So at least put in the ulasan. Again, if you have this nice document when you evaluate, if there is an audit done at UIA, before we do the actual assessment activity, we are going to look at the selectively, of course, at the university level, how the assessment has been done. Must be done in the best possible manner. Yeah. All right, next slide, please. Okay, this is just comparing. If you are interested to stay on, you can, but if you have something else to do, you can leave, because the main things that we had to discuss has been discussed. Yeah, this is just to compare for just for information, for knowledge. So let's go on to the next slide, please. As you're assessing, also, if you understand these differences, probably easier for you to go do your assessment. Yeah? So, for example, in terms of names, yes, still under KPT's grant, but now they've renamed their Dana into Dana Kelestarian Pendidikan. And for this one category fundamental, but 2 subcategories. And for example, FRJS is only one category, FRJS. And there is a bit of change in the philosophy. For FRJS is basically to introduce new knowledge based on the Malaysian mold. But for exploratory, it's just to understand new things, while transformative is to do radical change, a radical change. The change may not happen after the completion of this project, but it is the beginning of this change. The finding from this project will act as the beginning, because we expect TRL level 3 only for this project. So if they cannot show the actual change, that's fine, as long as you can see the move towards that change once they completed TRL 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Okay, next slide, please. So in terms of TRL level for FRGS, it's not mentioned, but for GET is mentioned, TRL 1 to 2 for exploratory and 2 to 3. For output, main output, FRGS is of course new knowledge, new idea, new concept. But for GET is something new, but it can also be in the form of framework, and for transformative, something radical. Duration same, ceiling same. And for there is a limit now. For FRGS previously, actually there was no limit, just in terms of application, but you can have as many FRGS as you wish, over several cycles. But for GET, there's only limited to 3 projects only throughout the lifetime of the PI's service. And these are the date. Never mind. Next slide, please. Okay, in terms of domain or clusters, we still have the 7 domain or cluster. 7, sorry, now they use 7 cluster based on the STEM or based on social science. And the policy most affected or most related will be, again, on top of the Madani, everything else, but good if they can focus on the trend, maybe Tara, the ESG, and again, back to Madani and MyST and SDG. Not much different here, yeah, except for the inclusion of the RPTM 2026 to 2035. Next slide, please. Okay, all these are back to the, the documents that they have to include in their research background. The Madani. Okay, next slide, please. Is the maximum 3 application or 3 secured get plans over, let's say, lifetime. Is the amount secured over the lifetime? For this round, they can only apply 1 grant, yeah. But later in the coming years, if you're successful this time around, you can still apply until 3 times before you are disqualified. Okay. On the team, yeah, the only thing the difference here is that, for example, the remaining service tenure term is 2 years instead of 1 year previously, and then the requirement for mentor now is compulsory for those with AP or below. But if you're a professor applying, you don't need a mentor. Mark scoring should be done. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Mark scoring should be done during first cycle of the second cycle evaluation. I think if you have time to do correction, you can score at the final stage of assessment before you submit to RMC. Okay, thank you. So on the number of co-researchers, only 5 maximum, and the ineligibility clause is that if you have previous PRGS now ongoing, you cannot apply for the same grant related to the PRGS. Next slide, please. So here, the requirement for LOI is mandatory, unlike FRGS, and also for patent search. Now has become compulsory for GET. Next slide, please. Okay, risk assessment now has become compulsory again. Previously, it was encouraged, and TRL level now compulsory, and also to be in line with the policy should be quite, again, clear and explicit. So for research ethics, if you require one, you should submit 6 months after the successful procuring the grant. But for GET to be safe, I think if you're involving ethics, same thing, just declare that you're going to apply for ethical approval. And if you get that, please submit to KPT within the 6 months, because again, under the Code of Conduct of Responsible Research, the ethical requirement is there. So better for them to have the indication that there'll be a request for ethical approval in the proposal. Next slide, please. Does it mean it counts even the FRGS, what, one secured earlier? Actually, we discussed this, whether should include FRGS. In some universities, they are saying that if you already had 3 FRGS previously, you cannot apply, because the term used is GET or setara. Kan? To be safe, I think those with 3 FRGS previously, probably they shouldn't apply. But it's up to RMC. Yeah? I'm not sure RMC's policy is how, but some universities, I know they are not encouraging those with previous 3 FRGS to apply, because GET is considered to be equivalent to setara, is setara to FRGS. But RMC, please confirm this. You know, what happens is that even though the guidelines are there, we in the team, actually, we're still discussing, because this is the first time this grant is being awarded. So there are questions that come in from assessors from RMC, and we're trying to discuss and trying to hopefully make things easier for people to apply. That's why I've asked RMC to refer to KPT for some of the questions raised. Yeah? What is the latest? Because again, there can be so many new things being asked that we have not thought about when we were doing the guidelines. All right, so these are the budget. I mentioned earlier some of the changes, quite simply, especially vote 21,000 and also vote 35,000 that you have to be careful of, and also for the GRA. Yeah? Next slide, please. So on IP, now for IP is compulsory to have 1 IP file, and priority is given to patent. So the question that we got from one of the participants here is that you can actually go ahead, evaluate, even though they do not promise 1 file patent. Yeah? But I think in terms of ranking, if it is SNT, it's going to go down low a bit on ranking. If it is social science, then it is acceptable that it can be a copyright. If they're submitting to journals, make sure they will put the acknowledgement of GET. Yeah, KPT. This is after they have come up with the results of the project. And ROV, like I said, they should do proper ROV calculation. I think RMC has got some guidelines on how to score for each of the output, and they try to compute and then give a figure on what they're going to promise as return of value compared to how much money is being invested on them in terms of the research funding. Okay, so it seems here journal 3 index wajib. So I'm sorry to say that publication was not compulsory. It is actually compulsory. So promise 1 or 2 like previously, yeah, it's still wajib, meaning that you cannot score, hope to score ROV totally on one particular output only. For example, you promise 2 output as a patent file, then technically you should be able to overcome the ROV already, like 240,000 for 2 patent file. No, you have to spread out your output into 3 items at least, yeah? For human capital, for publication, and also for IP registered or IP file, sorry. Okay, one more question here. Let's see. Okay. All right. So that question on FRGS, I hope RMC can check with KPT whether having 3 previous FRGS would disqualify this applicant from coming in, or they're talking about the future 3 GETs that will qualify the applicant. All right. Next slide. I think we are finishing here. So for GET, there'll be additional 3 years upon the completion of GET for the output to be monitored by RMC and maybe also by KPT. Yeah? Because ROV normally is something that you can see the impact a bit longer after the completion of the project. It's not immediate. Yeah? So the project will be monitored further 3 years after completion. So for policy, again, requested for the policy, and it should at least involve the agency as your collaborator. And then finally, there is already a presentation to this agency regarding the policy drafted through your research project. So in terms of beneficiaries, mention the quintuple helix, yeah? Or specifically you can put up, for example, a school or a hospital or something. Yes, question from Dr. Tengku. You can request them to provide more recent LOI, yeah? Because I think as long as it's not sent up to KPT, you can still improve the proposal. Is there any template? I think we only get the template. I think there should be an Excel form in Excel format. So, but I think RMC, I think they can provide you with the estimate monetization of the output. And it's very simple. I think there need to be it is an Excel form. It can self-calculate, actually self-compute. But I'm not sure whether this has been distributed to all RMCs. Otherwise, like I said, just know the estimation, and then the applicant should put up a simple, like 3 line of calculation, how much each costs, and then you can get the bottom line. But RMC maybe can help, yeah, Dr. Shafidai. Okay, I think the future work from this proposal is good to be included in the proposal. So these are the new things expected. And if they put up these new things in the proposal, you should give them higher score and maybe put up into the highly recommended proposal. Next slide, please. So on the budget again, we have look at the budget. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, in terms of internal evaluation, I think RMC will look at that. Then KPT will do the assessment as usual, and then the progress report as usual every 6 monthly, and they can be visit by KPT, auditors from KPT, and even up to 3 years after the completion of the project. Next slide, please. All right. There is also a clause on penalty. This is for RMC to monitor, yeah, where there be a penalty of if the project's not completed for reasons not acceptable by KPT, then the applicants, the PI, and co-researchers can be penalized. Yeah? Next slide, please. So in terms of some conclusions from this GET, yeah. So GET basically is not a total replacement of FRGS, but more like an evolution from FRGS. We have done FRGS 20 years and we've seen the ups and downs, the good and bad about FRGS. And GET is trying to, fill the gap and also try to fix whatever shortcomings experienced from FRGS years. And of course, we expect a bit of innovation, radical, and the TRL should be more explicit, meaning trying to train our researchers to be more objective in their work and to be more brave in terms of trying to get their findings into more meaningful level of TRL. And also there'll be monitoring post project 3 years after the project completes. And hopefully with the penalty clause, the accountability can be stronger. All this, I think, are done to show the Auditor General's Office that KPT is serious about giving out grants and monitoring and making sure that the grants are used successfully. Yes, it is the quotation, I think, is very important, the question, yeah. I did not mention, but when you look at the budget, the amount that they require, having quotations would help a lot. If they put just ballpark figure, for example, on the vote 27,000 to buy consumables, this is not acceptable. If you put up the project up to KPT level, it will not be successful at that level. So the quotation we still require, and hopefully is the latest. It's not about quotation of every single thing, but at least there is an effort to go for quotation of some of the major items that they plan to buy. And finally, the collaboration with industry now becomes compulsory, important for us to set up the next move towards working closer with industry and bridging that gap between university and industry. What I can tell you is that people have asked me whether fundamental work would be of interest to the industry, but I found through my own research of doing very basic research, when I approach a company, a big pharmaceutical company in Malaysia, they seem to be interested. Yes, at this point, they are not required to commit anything financially, but they have that first right of refusal if they join us early. And they are interested in that, and they've come in to work with us. So I think getting industry partner, even doing fundamental research, is not a totally impossible thing to happen. It still can happen depending on how you sell your idea to the industry. Next slide, please. Okay, again, the IP is now compulsory for filing. But again, when we talk about social science, there'll be a bit of leeway for it to be a copyright. But the rest, SNT, technology, medical should go for IP filing. Okay. Technology transfer of industry partner for new venture can be considered. Technology transfer of industry partner for new venture. I think if already arrive at the technology transfer level, that is already quite matured, Doctor. So to enhance that, I think is not GET. There'll be two other grants to be introduced. Maybe you can apply for these two grants coming up, where that industry university relationship would be expected to be stronger and also working on more matured output of research. So for GET, technology transfer to enhance the product, for example, is not relevant, it's not suitable. Yeah. Mentor is important now, going back to the take-home messages. Budget also we discussed. And then there's seems to be a bit of change from whatever we were doing previously, RMK12, for example, and the old strategic plan of the ministry. Now we have moved to new ones. Be mindful of that. And hopefully we are able to do assessment in the most transparent manner and the most advantageous manner to our applicants and our staff. All right, next slide, please. Again, I want to emphasize the importance of proposal has to be clear for it to be supported at the national level. Clarity is primary. So these are the deadlines. I think we have different deadlines, but at KPT is 15 April 2026. And after that, I think May or June, they will start the process of evaluation. Hopefully by July, the disbursement of fund can be implemented, can be done. All right. Okay. The question on by Professor Hilal, I think the project GET cannot be used to do what you intend to do, but what you can say, you're applying for GET for something I think more upstream, but you can promise as your future work with the industry, you can use the finding from GET for future work, because future work is good to have. Yeah. All right. Okay, final slide, I think we've done.
Prof, Dato',
Saya,
one question. If RA is not mentioned in the proposal, can the recipient of the grant add it later after the grant has been awarded?
actually, no. It's best that it's included now. Because you're asking for GRA. If the applicant intends to change it, meaning at that time they do not know or they do not need to sponsor the GRA. They only need to get the RA, right? Okay.
Yes.
I think for the time being, okay, what will happen is that at this stage, they have to identify which one they want to employ. Later on, for example, the GRA has managed to get funding on his or her own, for example, the My Brain or something, and they do not require the funding. You want to employ an RA, right? So I think, yeah, that will happen when the time comes. And now, actually, there's a requirement under GET for university to have its own research committee, which I know all universities have. Some of the some of the processes or procedures under the guidelines will be able to be completed only at the university level. Don't have to go to KPT level. For example, environment change, for example. So at that point, I think it'll be up to the university to decide whether you can now substitute your GRA with RA. But I guess if you promise a GRA and that GRA is already funded through other means, and you want to change that, that's okay. But you must produce that GRA. Okay? Okay, Dr. Manadia.
Another question.
Yeah.
Quotation for research materials or equipment compulsory in the proposal?
Sorry, quotation for consumables
Quotation
and
for research
equipment.
materials. Yes, equipment compulsory in the proposal.
Yes, must be in the proposal. Otherwise, I know it's going to be turned down up there at the ministry level because the competition is very strong, right? Any single shortcoming of that proposal will be considered as not, not highly recommended or even recommended.
Betul.
Okay, we kind of complete this talk. So now it's open for Q&A lah. Moderator, ya? Boleh?
Yes.
Okay.
From Prof. Alfi, if we would like to give a chance to the applicant to improve their proposal before submission to KPT, normally we recommend resubmission, but in Excel form, there is no resubmission choice, only the recommendations, not recommended, recommended, and highly recommended. Which one we should choose?
Okay, sorry. For this question, can I invite the RMC to answer how you're going to do it at UIA? Boleh tak wakil RMC jawab? Very, very valid question. Thank you, Prof. Alfi. So, daripada RMC boleh tak bagi pencerahan kat sini?
I think if the applicants need to revise the proposal, then it needs to be stated in the Excel sheet form. So then about the recommended, not recommended, that one should be
by the panel during the evaluation. But if the researcher needs to improve it, you can put it recommended or highly recommended. It's okay. But still, we will share the feedback with the researcher. You do not put not recommended because it is the first phase of the evaluation. Is it clear, Prof. Alfi?
Just to get clarification, so basically, all the evaluation we're gonna give is either recommended or highly recommended, and eventually all the applicants we get back all the feedback and still they have chance to improve, right?
Yes.
yes. But if
Yeah.
it is not recommended, then you just put not recommended, then it will not going to be given the chance for the applicants to improve
Revise.
the application. Yes.
Yes.
Right.
So only
Okay.
for the highly recommended will be given the chance to revise for the application.
Right.
But for
Okay.
the first phase, we advise you to be recommended, not recommended, because we want them
Sure.
to improve the proposal.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like last minute preparation for everyone, isn't it? Anyway.
But if that is the case, then that means that the first time, if let's say the first time has to be 80% and above, right? If we want it to be recommended.
Yes.
So there's no chance that the second time it can be not recommended.
The second
be-
time you can change it because you will have 2 evaluations or 3 evaluations. The
Yeah,
second
but-
time,
but-
if they still will not improve, you can put it as not recommended. You can
It's-
change it, the evaluation.
So because that means that it seems, it doesn't seem logical, because after the improvement, then it become not recommended. Do you get what I mean?
I think if I may come in, I think if first time recommended, I think the next one should remain as recommended or highly, because after all, you have kind of recommended. Now you want the applicant to improve, right?
Yeah,
And improving means getting better lah, I think. Most
Exactly.
likely not getting worse kan.
yeah.
So once recommended, the only way is up lah, highly recommended or remain as recommended. That's my thought lah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why when the first time,
Boleh ada terbakar. Kalau the chance yang first evaluation tak ada.
Datuk,
Saya.
if let's say for the first evaluation, we do not put the status of the application, meaning we do not ask the evaluators to put the recommended, highly recommended, not recommended. Is it feasible? Is it possible?
Itulah, I
By
think,
the KPT?
yeah, I think because we try to follow migrants kan, where it was quite online, very easy kan. Now we're doing manually. In migrants, we have resubmission kan.
Resubmission. Yeah.
We have resumption.
Yeah.
So now I think why don't we use this? We still have resubmission tapi manual resubmission, meaning you return the proposal to them and then they improve, and finally then only you you
Yeah,
grade
I think
whether recommended or highly recommended, because
I think that
after
will be better.
all, better for you to keep the
Yes, yes, yes.
the
Confused.
decision
Yeah,
final.
true. I think so.
Otherwise, it will be confusing, I think. I
Ah.
think FRDS used to do the resubmission, so we don't give any marks. As
Mm.
after resubmission only, we used to give marks. So I think
Yeah.
we are not, we revise. First
Mm.
round, we don't give any marks or we don't put anything, I think.
Mm.
And only in the final, you have to better give the marks. Just like we follow the FRDS. It's
Should
easier.
be
Otherwise, it will be
mistakes.
very confusing. Because
Yeah,
you
I
recommend at the
agree with
beginning and
Prof.
then you
Hilal.
Okay.
Another clarification, I would like to ask from RMC, the ones that we're going to submit to KPT, is it the one that with highly recommended only, or highly recommended and recommended?
Both. Both.
Dua-dua. Both.
Both.
We submit both.
Both, yeah?
Recommended and highly recommended. Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Dato,
Yes.
for the first evaluation stage, so if we ask the evaluators not to put the marks and also the status recommended or highly recommended or not recommended, is it okay with KPT?
Yeah, I think
For the first
we
stage.
follow the resubmission punya level kan,
Yes.
or punya
Easier.
you can do that. Yeah.
Okay. Alright, Dato.
Yes,
Noted on
and
that.
there's one question regarding GRA too. I think at this point you don't promise whether GRA is local or overseas, but in the end, when you are appointing, I think it's up to the university's policy, and we also have general policy kan, allowing like maybe 10-15% apa tu GRA can be foreign kan. So that's up to the university punya decision, but not at this point in time. We don't have to indicate whether GRA will be local or foreign. I think that policy still stands. We have not changed that policy. You can appoint apa tu from overseas, but certain percentage of the total postgraduate population of the university.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I see here Muhammad, my former student USM, 30 years ago. So wow.
Prof, one question, non-Malaysian students can be recruited as GRA or RA?
Oh, actually, I just answered that. When you
Oh,
are
really?
applying, you don't have to indicate. But later on, if you get the grant, then it's up to the policy of the university. Remember during FRGS, towards the end of FRGS, we began to allow taking foreign students as GRA, remember, but it depends on the percentage of foreign postgraduate versus total number of postgraduate. Some university they say 10%, some say 15%. So there is a limit to the percentage allowed. So you can follow that percentage, because I don't think we've changed that policy yet. So jawapannya boleh lah kalau dia within certain number of apa tu postgraduate students.
Okay. Dato', there are many attendees who would like to have your slide. Can we have your slide later on?
Sure. You can use the slides already with RMC. Boleh just share.
Okay. So we will disseminate it to the attendees.
Because all
Thank you
those
very
are
much,
taken
Prof.
from the
Thank you.
guidelines. If you want to know more, you can read the guidelines. Best for you to read guidelines lah. Mana the role of penilai, what the penilai needs to do, kan, assessor needs to do. It's all mentioned there. Kan? And I think you can translate into English. It's not in Malay, but translate into English.
In declaration part, does AI usage need to be declared? If it's declared, the applicant use AI, should it affect the marks given? Dato'?
To me, depends on the assessor. I think should not penalize, because that is a tool for them to use. They have to prompt very properly to get the AI response. So I think to me it's okay. It's not required and not requested kan. So use of AI, I think is not is accept. I mean, not say acceptable, but there's no problem with that. No, I think. Yeah.
Kena hantar ke RMC.
Yes.
Sekejap, bawa dulu.
Maybe good also, because previously in terms of grammar, in terms of concise nature of sentences, can be quite problematic if they don't use AI. Now, if they use AI, hopefully the sentences are clearer, shorter, and more to the point. Tak apa.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Ada lagi soalan lain? Is there any other questions?
This one.
There is a question after evaluating, do we send back to RMC? Yes, you will need to send back to RMC for the about the evaluation form. And then any other questions in the chat box? Okay. Any other questions? Before anything, I would like to remind you to submit the attendance and also feedback form. Okay. Right. Any other questions? Okay, is there any other questions from
Just one
the...
question I see from Dr. Ahmad Fauzi to how should we fill in the perubahan pada kumpulan SASA kan, ROV. I think this is something for you to think about in terms of impact kan. The kumpulan SASA tu from your project can start with a small group in the community or can impact the the state or even the nation or even global. So if you can just assess how much your project will impact, can be the industry also, your kumpulan SASA. So just a mention of those things. And then you can actually, if you look at the how they monetize all this impact in the form, I think with RMC, you can monetize, put money value to the number of people you impact. Let's say small group, then you like 20 lah marks. If you do like national state level, maybe 60 or something like that. So these numbers are all available. You just need the applicants to assess how their project will impact the community, basically, the industry maybe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dato'. But there is one information that I would like to share with all of the attendees here, because we at RMC, we have got one initiative of our own, whereby we have actually tried to find and scour many other grants as well that are open. Okay, so other than GET, we also have a lot of other grants. So you can go to center.iium.edu.my RMC/RMC. So under this website, we have got one tab called research funding. Okay, so under this research funding tab, there are international, national, industry, NGO grants that are open. Okay, so we are actually trying our best to scour in order for us to find other open grant. And if you were to find other grant as well that are open but not listed in this web page, then you can go to the top of the website and you can see that there will be so you can see that at the top of the website, you can see important notes. So important notes, you can see number 3. Please use this link to share new grant opportunities with IIUM community. So once you share with us the new grant opportunities, because maybe we overlooked something, right? And there are a lot of other grants as well in other fields. So you can share it with us and then we will have a look at the grant. And then if everything is okay, then we will put it on the website and also research calendar that we always share with our HOR and also through IIUM announcement. Right, so don't stop at GET. You can also try other grant as well, and inshallah, with your effort, we can try to improve our ranking, and that is actually our main aim and target lah, in order for us to fly higher. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Datuk Bakar, for your insightful briefing today. We will, from RMC, we will try to disseminate your slides to the attendees today so that we can benefit from your slide as well. So before we end, maybe we can have a photo shoot session. So everybody can open your camera. Right. 1, 2, 3. Smile.
Okay, second page.
Second page. Smile. Okay. All right. So if you want to go back to this briefing session, you can also visit YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, RMC, Research Management Center, IIUM. So you can play